Hi guys, this is Donna with Love Rocks. So we finally got the video done and ready to go on our Christmas gnomes. Oh man, these guys are near and dear to my heart. I love doing gnomes. And if you are familiar at all with my Facebook group, which is under Love Rocks, or my Instagram, then you know that I do a lot of gnomes. So there'll be some changes on this video. There won't be quite as much slow painting. I sped it up a bit. And I hope that you stay with us through the whole thing and enjoy it. Please stay tuned for more videos. You'll need to like and subscribe so that you'll be one of them that is notified immediately when we get these. We're going to actually pull up all the subscribers at the end of the showing of this video, and 2 people will be sent these 2 rocks. I'm going to get them sent out to 2 of our subscribers. So let's get going. I'm showing you here the paints and the brushes that I'll be using in this, but I'll also leave a link in the description. Make sure that you clean your rocks well with just some soapy water, and then I always wipe them down with some rubbing alcohol before I start. So once you get everything cleaned off and you put in the basic shape, and that's all I really do is try to put in a basic shape. The rest of it is kind of as you go. You start to figure out a flow for these little guys. So put in the basic shape, pick out your colors, and then start to fill in the spots. So gnomes are really popular right now, which is great because, man, they're a blast to do. And I can't wait for spring and Easter because I've got some really cool ideas for some gnomes. We're also going to start doing some fairies and some fairy houses to go with these. They seem to be things that are very easy to do, but they bring a lot of joy to people when they see them. Gnomes are also something that could easily be done by beginners or children. There are a lot of soft edges. Proportions don't have to be perfect. You can pick out just about any color scheme that you want, and kids really like to do them. So even though this isn't really considered a beginner's project for rocks, I think just about anybody can paint a gnome. I'm hoping that I get some comments on this video and maybe some ideas of other things that you guys would like to see. I do some landscapes and other things outside of the gnomes. And again, if you'll log on to my Facebook group, Love Rocks, you'll see some different things that I have done. But I would love to have some ideas of what you guys want to see in tutorials. I would also like to do a few tutorials on paints. There's a lot of variety of paints, and there's a lot of them that I've tried. There's a lot of them that I haven't tried. So as we go through this journey together, I'm going to start experimenting with some different paints, and I'd like to video all of that so that it gives you an opportunity to see the way different paints work and how they look without having to have the cost of putting into all of those different paints. I do not use anything but a spray sealer for my rocks. I guess if I sold them or became more of a professional with an Etsy group where I was going to be selling all of my products, I might resin. But at this point, most of my stuff I give away. I give it to family and friends. I participate in a very large group that we put rocks out so that people can find them. That's what my Facebook group is for. When you find them, you take a picture, you put it on the group. We watch the rocks travel all over the country. And I've left rocks in about 4 states now. And so at this point, I really haven't been selling them. I've mostly been giving them away and sending them out to different people. I think I have sent rocks out to a couple of cancer survivors. I think that that is a very worthy cause. If you can put a smile on somebody's face that's been through so much, that makes my day. So there's a lot more to painting rocks than just, making a business out of it. And of course, my YouTube channel. The biggest inspiration for that was I see so many people on my Facebook page or other rock groups that are terrified to start rock painting because they don't think that they can do it, or they think that they're not able to make them look as pretty or as nice as other people. And I just wanted to be that voice out there that says, you know what? Pick up a paintbrush, pick up some paint. I'm going to show you step by step how you can make something really beautiful, and you don't have to have years and years of practice. Rock painting should be enjoyable. It shouldn't give you so much stress, and it shouldn't give you so much pressure that you're not good enough. It should be enjoyable. And so I hope that that is what you get from my videos, is the love and the enjoyment that everybody should get from doing these. So this is about a 2-hour project for me. I did it a little faster than I would normally do because I wanted to get it completed so I could get the video out. I actually painted a rock the night before, so you'll see at the end, or you saw it at the beginning, 2 rocks, and the second one, which I'm filming now, is the one that took a little bit less time because I did get through it a little faster. Project like this usually takes me about 3 hours. If you're blending, of course, you can blend when things are still tacky or wet. But anytime I've got to do layers, and when I'm wanting those layers to show through, you need to let everything dry. So if you've got a project that you're doing a lot of dry time, it can take 5-6 hours. Sometimes it can take a couple of days if you're trying to dry things in between layers. But this one, you can complete this one in, with practice, a couple of hours. Brand new to doing gnomes, I would say 4 or 5 hours. But don't sit down and do the whole thing in one day. Try to do a little bit. When you start getting tired, don't rush through it. Just put it away and go to something else. I always have at least 3 rocks running at all times on my desk. And that way, if I need something to dry, or I'm just not getting something right, gnomes, their nose. Those little noses, some days you can slap those noses on and they're perfect. And then other days, do exactly the same thing and you cannot get that nose right to save your soul. So if I start getting frustrated because I can't get something just right, I'll set the rock aside and leave it till tomorrow. And then when I come back to it, you're fresh and you look at it, you pick it up, and boy, you just get it on the first try. So I do run about 3, sometimes 4 rocks at one time. And I just do different pieces of them. It also gives you an opportunity to try different things. So if I've got 3 or 4 projects on my table, it won't be all gnomes. I'll have some Christmas stuff. I'll have some stuff that I might be doing for somebody. I have a lot of friends that'll call and say, hey, I've got a friend and they love such and such, a beach or a mountain scene. Is there any way you could throw this together for me and make it special for them? And so I do a little bit of everything. When I was a kid, I had formalized art lessons, but I haven't picked up a brush in over 30 years until a few months ago. So I feel like I'm just as new as everybody else. So as we're going through this, you'll see that I do a lot of shading. I'm using my same brush to do the shading, but I have been practicing a new technique. of shading with a fat short brush. And as soon as I get that technique a little more perfected, I'll make sure and do a video on that. And then you'll have a couple of ways to shade that you can pick from. And then you can figure out which one you feel more comfortable with. I feel like with painting, you don't ever stop learning. You'll see something that someone else does and you'll try it, and then you put your own spin on it and whatever feels comfortable. But shading is such a big part of painting that it's one of those things that you need to try different techniques before you find the one that you really feel comfortable with. I really, really love the Christmas colors. It's been so fun to play with the reds and the greens because they're so rich, they're so strong and vibrant. And so I'm kind of going to miss those as we enter the new year. But I'm also looking forward to something different. So we'll move more into the pastels as we get into spring. And that's going to be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Also, we're taking a trip, my husband and I, to Arizona for Christmas. So I'm trying to get more rocks put together so we can sprinkle those through Texas and New Mexico and Arizona on our trip for Christmas. So I've been doing a lot of painting. I hope that if you have any friends that you know that enjoys this kind of stuff, that you make sure and share my video with them. There's a lot of people out there who enjoy doing things like this, and the encouragement that you can get just from watching a video could make the difference in somebody actually doing it or somebody just, not willing to try. Once you try, you're addicted. I don't think I'll ever stop doing it now. I'm taking some stuff over to my grandkids. I've got one that I think is going to start doing a little bit of rock painting, so it'll be fun. Now, as we're going through this video, if there's a place that you're not sure of, or of course you can see now as we're going through it that I have fast forwarded most of the painting, that if you're not sure of what I was doing, please stop and pause it so that you can look at it a couple of times. And always, if you have questions, leave a comment. If you're on my Facebook group, you can PM me. I'll respond, and I can help you in any way that you want. I'm hoping that I can get the rest of these rocks done before the end of the year, because I would really like to look at a few more winter things after Christmas before we pop into spring. Living in Texas, we don't have, believe it or not, a lot of great rocks for rock painting. So these rocks actually came from a big box store. I went to their garden area and found them. And I never would have thought, being raised in Arizona, that I would have difficult time finding rocks, but it's been a chore here. But this rock here is about 3 inches by about maybe 2 inches, inch and a quarter, about 2 inches by about 3.5. And it's a great size for doing this. I am, like I said, headed to Arizona for Christmas, and my dad did a little rock hunting for me, so he's gonna hook me up with some rocks when I get back to the state. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you have comments about other places that you can find rocks, please let me know. There are several people who have said that they get their rocks from landscapers. You can go to landscaping companies, talk to them. Some of them will let you hand pick, a big 5-gallon bucket of rocks and charge you for that bucket of rocks. So I have not tried that. So far, I've been able to get what I needed from the big box store. So I don't know, you might try that as well. I ordered my very, very, very first bag of rocks off of Amazon several months ago when I first started rock painting again. But since then, I've been getting the larger bags here in town. Brushes, we've talked about this several times. I use just a detail brush. I get them from Amazon. My last video, I had trouble getting the link to attach, but I think I got it, so it'll be attached in this video for my brushes. I did buy a few brushes from Walmart, and I'm using them as well as the little tiny, tiny detail brushes that I get from Amazon. Don't throw your brushes away. I've noticed that already my brushes are getting very thin and kind of curved on the end, and it loses its shape. Do not throw those brushes away. There are ways to recuperate that brush and use it in another manner. So I'll do a video on that so that you know that you can reuse that brush 2 or 3 times before you actually have to throw it away. And just make sure you wash them out real good at the end of each project. I've had some brushes that I've actually just left in water overnight and cleaned them the next day because I just wanted to make sure, using so many dark colors, that I got everything out of it. And there he is. More shading. Sealer. I actually bought about 4 different sealers, and I'd like to do a video on just sealers and show you the difference in each one. I found that one tends to yellow in the sunlight. 2 of them are very good at drying quickly, and I do like them to dry quickly. I don't put real heavy coverage the first couple of times, so that probably helps. But I think I'll do a video on several different sealers, and that way, especially someone who's new at this, I wish I had had that. I looked around and was really having a hard time finding somebody that would actually show you what sealers there were out there and what each one did and why you liked or didn't like each one. You can go on any group and everybody's got their opinion on sealers, but I just kind of wanted to see what each one looks like. So I'll do a video on sealers specifically and what I found to be true. We don't get a lot of rain here in Texas, but we get enough rain that I do have one particular sealer that seems to, no matter how much I put on, it just doesn't seal well enough. So I can give you the pros and cons to each one that I use. And maybe I'll bite the bullet and get some resin and do a video on doing resin coverage as well. I love the way resin covered rocks look. I think it's a little bit expensive for a hobby that you're gonna just give your rocks away or hide your rocks at a city park, but it would be good information. So there's a possibility that I could do a video on that one as well. Oh boy, this little guy, he's sure starting to come alive. I did get a comment on one of my groups that somebody was wanting to know how I got the depth in his beard. And so I'm hoping that they're watching this because This really shows how you get that depth. And as long as you can start with that darker color and you start filling in the dark in that beard, and then you bring it up to the light, you'll start seeing all those colors through it. That particular process of doing his beard, I did dry it in between each color. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. I wanted each of those colors to be crisp and clean and not blend. When I got to the very top layer, where I had to blend up around his nose and underneath the hat, I did use a little more wet paint and didn't want it to be so dry, but the other pieces of it I did layer. The other thing when doing gnomes, keep in mind, the beard is absolutely the last thing that I do. I do the shading, I do all of my detail work on the arms, the hands, the feet, anything that they might be holding, anything that's going to be in the background, all of that completely done and completely dried before I start his beard. Because the beard, when you put it on, it's so wispy and it's so out of control, and you're going to want to be able to put those wisps of hair all over the place that you don't want it to blend with those other colors, and B, you want to make sure that it stands out on top of his clothing and any background. So leave that beard till the very last. It is the last thing I do with my gnomes. And there's that nose. That nose. Sometimes that nose can be a lot of fun, and sometimes that nose can be a nightmare. Just make sure you get that highlighted area on it. Make sure you get that shaded area on the bottom, and the nose seems to come out. And again, please don't let the nose frustrate you. It is the one spot that I can become frustrated. So if that happens, walk away. Let it dry and just walk away. Also, I have actually had to scrape the nose off because I've gotten too much paint. I've layered up too much paint, trying to make it look right. If you get too much paint on a layer and you think it's going to really bulge out, just take it off. It's not a big deal. It's easily done, and you can go back in and fix it. So again, I would like to ask that you fill up my comments with ideas. I have several things that I would like to video and get out there that would have made a difference for me when I was first starting, especially about supplies and where to find things and what's the best thing, and do I need the best thing? You know, is it something that I can go with a cheaper version, or is it really worth having the more expensive version of something? And I couldn't really find a lot of that information. What I found was a lot of opinions on different groups. So I would like to be able to put out there side by side data for people to see. And then you make your decision. You make your own opinion up of what you feel like is worth having and what's not worth having. So you don't spend a lot of extra money when you don't have to. So please, in the comments, give me some ideas of things you'd like to see on videos. Otherwise, I am going to start doing videos on things that I was having trouble getting answers to. And then we'll go from there. And maybe give me some ideas as to what you do with your rocks. I know that there's a small group out there that actually sells their rocks, and I think that's amazing. Those people are very talented. I've seen numerous people out there that sell their rocks, and they sell t-shirts and jewelry and other things that they've put their artwork on. And I'm blown away at the talent. But the rest of us just kind of enjoy doing this as a hobby. So tell me what you do with your rocks. And please share any information that you have or things, little tricks that you have come across. I did see on a blog this weekend that somebody had sealed their rock after painting it. It was a dark colored rock, almost looked like a granite, and they had painted on it with a lot of black paint, a little bit of white, but mostly black. And then when they went on it and sealed it, the black paint blended in with the dark colors behind it, and their picture disappeared. And they were very upset. They thought it was the sealer. Didn't know what else that they were supposed to do with it. And so here's a little trick. If you're not sure what your rock's going to look like when it's sealed, dip it in water. I don't care if my rock looks clean. I will clean my rocks before I place them on my desk. And if I have a rock that's been sitting there for a little while and I'm like, I wonder how light that's going to get, or I wonder how dark that's going to get, I'll go dip a little bit of it in water, even if it's the back side, so that, it stays dry so you can start painting on the side that you're going to work with. And I'll look at that, and then I'll know exactly what color it's going to be when I get it sealed. And that does make a difference in what you're going to do with your painting. The other thing that you can do, I didn't do it on this one, but the one that I'm going to show with it at the end, you'll be able to see. If I have a really dark rock and I'm afraid that the dark colors, such as this, are gonna blend too much when I put the sealer on, I will mix up white and water, and I mean make it so thin. And then I will slowly just put that, I guess you could call it almost a dirty water, around the edges of my rock. And you'll be able to see it on the rock when we get to the end of this video. But what that does is when you seal it, it lightens up right around your picture. And that's the only place I really do it. And it just gives it a little bit of a glow behind it so that when you seal it, it kind of pushes those colors out of the dark colors that you've got for your painting. So that's one little trick that I have tried. And it seems to work. Okay, here is that beard. Just randomly get those dark streaks in there. Make them wispy and don't make them too uniform. You're going to let that dry, and then you're going to come back in with some dark gray. And I'm going to turn around and do the same thing. Now, these do not have to look like actual hair right now, because what you're doing is you're leaving that underlying color that's going to show up through the white. This little gnome, Santa gnome, is going to have a white beard, but you're going to see those dark colors through it in little areas, and that's going to be your shadows and areas that are peeking through that white hair. So now you'll see, and make sure that you dry it in between those two layers, between the gray, the black, and now the white. And if you get too much white, if you find that you just, because I'm going to have to work this pretty good to bring in a little bit of blending up there at the top, but keep the darkness under the nose and around the hat. You find that you've got too much white, you can always go back in, let it dry, and you can go back in and you can put a few more wisps of the gray, a few more wisps of the black, and then do it again. Go back over it with the white after it dries. And that is the best way to do it if you want to have those layers of hair. And you just keep going back and putting in your dark until you get it about where you want it. And we'll go back in with a little more white. I think you're starting to get the idea there. But you'll also see how much I painted over the top of the arms. Even a few wisps went over the candy cane, definitely over his feet. And there you have it, guys. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe and like. And make sure and come back for more videos. This is a really fun project that just about anybody can do. And I'm so, so, so happy that you were here to get through this whole thing with me. It was a really long video. So we're gonna let that dry. After we get this last little bit of shading in. And then we're going to hit it with a tiny bit of sealer after it dries. Just about done. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. Please come back and see us at Love Rocks. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. We're going to pick 2 people. I'll notify you, and we will get these rocks sent out to you. Have a great night, and I hope you enjoyed this.